Hey, good morning, everyone. Grace and peace. Welcome to Find the Intersection. My name is Paul Dezay. Today we're talking about the book of Jeremiah. We begin a journey through Jeremiah. We're going to be looking at the first chapter. We're going to be looking at this guy named Jeremiah. What's his story? What's his background? And I'm excited to jump in. Jeremiah, I did a sermon series in Jeremiah a few years back at my prior church, and it was just an amazing experience for me. I don't know if anybody else enjoyed it, but Jeremiah is a great book. The interesting thing about Jeremiah, before we, really jump into this particular passage, is Jeremiah is the weeping prophet. So he gets to challenge Israel and challenge the nations, but he's crying as he does it. I mean, it hurts because he realizes he's part of the problem, and he desires to be part of the solution as well. So he's the weeping prophet. Now, he kind of came around in 1627, around there, BC. And Jerusalem was destroyed in 587, and then the exile was over in 538, or began over. So he's in this period of right before Jerusalem was destroyed, and at the beginning of the exile. And so that's kind of he's warning that something's coming to Jerusalem. The storm is coming, and so you see this pattern in it. But today's passage is all about the call. So the first thing I really jumped out to me is the calling of Jeremiah. And just like, if you take a look in the passage, just like Moses made excuse for not being able to speak eloquently, Jeremiah makes the excuse that he's just a boy. And that's typically our response. And through Scripture, there's kind of this pattern of God calls somebody, and then they look at themselves and they don't feel like they're capable of doing it. So we always kind of make an excuse. But the thing that stood out to me when you look at the calling of Jeremiah, and this is kind of my second point for this morning, is that God's call flows out of God's action. And so God is the one who formed Jeremiah. God is the one who consecrated Jeremiah. God is the one who's appointed Jeremiah to be prophet to the nations. So God has the action that precedes the call. So God moves in our lives and then calls us. And so when we take a look into our lives, we see that God has been active and involved in our lives before we hear the call. God's actions precedes the calling. So God is the initiator of the call. And then the other thing that really jumped out to me is the ending of the passage, verse 9 and 10. Then the Lord put out his hand and touched my mouth. Kind of reminds me of Isaiah, right? And then the Lord said to me, now I have put my words in your mouth. See, today I appoint you over nations and over kingdoms. And this is his mission, to pluck up and to pull down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. And so he has this positive, negative mission. He's going to be overthrowing kingdoms, so to speak, with his words that come from the Lord. But he also is going to build something new. He's going to plant something new. So oftentimes that's the word of prophet. They have a challenge, and then they have a word of hope. And Jeremiah fits into that pattern. So for the next so many weeks, for most of our Wednesdays, we're going to be looking at the book of Jeremiah. I love it. Hopefully you enjoy it as well. And I believe that, in our own way, we're all kind of prophets, that we're all called to, speak out against injustice, right? But also to offer hope to the people that are suffering from injustice, just like Jeremiah did. And so we're called into that prophetic ministry. And God is the one who calls us, even if we don't feel capable. That's it for today. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you tomorrow as we talk about Psalm 71. Grace and peace, everyone. Take care.